My early morning walks have become a treasure for me. Normally, I have music playing in my ears, carrying me along as I walk. But this morning, I tried something different. I decided to turn the music off and just listen. I listened to the birds. I listened to the breeze in the trees. And importantly, I think I listened to my own thoughts. And for whatever reason, my thoughts carried me way back to the early days and weeks and months of my retirement. And I remembered the silence, and not the peaceful kind of silence that I get on my early morning walks. No, it was an unsettling silence, the kind that makes you notice the cobweb string hanging from the ceiling or the dust bunny underneath the credenza. And I remember the times that I woke up feeling a little bit lost, without a schedule, maybe having a to do list, but no deadlines on that list. And I just didn't know how to handle any of that. Maybe you're working your way through something similar. Maybe you're in the early days of your retirement, or maybe you're looking forward to a soon coming retirement. If you are, I think this story will help. Probably, probably much like you, I spent my entire life moving fast, solving problems, pushing through, trying to make sense of everything. But retirement, well, it just doesn't work like that. Life doesn't suddenly line up perfectly just because you want it to or need it to. Eventually, somewhere in those early years, I hit this moment where I just decided to stop fighting it. I took a kind of c'est la vie approach to life, and not in a careless way, no, but in a way that finally let me see that maybe this version of life is life now, different, with different values. And honestly, that simple realization, that acceptance, was a turning point for me. Now, it wasn't a overnight shift, not at all. But I began to pay attention, and I started feeling more grounded and more like a person again. And I began to understand what retirement was all about. Actually, I think a lot of retirees go through this stage. But you have to ask, why does it take so long? Well, for me, I just I couldn't deal with the emptiness that I felt. It was disorienting. I'd wake up feeling this strange mix of freedom, but guilt mixed with it. Like I was still supposed to be producing something, proving myself, and moving fast. The idea of slowing down, eh, that just wasn't me at all. Or so I kept telling myself. So I pushed, and I kept trying to push myself in the wrong directions, chasing old habits, chasing old goals, chasing old versions of myself. And I certainly didn't realize that this feeling wasn't a direct result of being retired. It was the fact that I kept making these half hearted attempts to resurrect the old me, resurrect a life that just didn't fit me anymore. And there was another thing that was going on about this time. I held this feeling that retirement was supposed to be like a long weekend. or maybe a victory lap, or maybe a reward for decades of work. But that's just wrong. Because retirement is a different landscape entirely. And the more I tried to fit myself into the old version of me, the more lost I felt. But slowly, that it was slow, I did start to see more clearly. And in time, these very cool feelings of peace started to emerge. That maybe it was okay for life to be different now. Maybe it was okay for it to be a little slower. I had a different rhythm that I could adopt. And this feeling of acceptance finally started to settle in. Because once I stopped fighting it, once I stopped trying to be the old Mel, a new version could begin to take shape. And eventually it became super clear that me hanging on to the old self any longer just meant that I wasn't being present for the present. And I could see that I had been wasting time. And I was wasting a really decent segment of my life that I could have been enjoying instead of wrestling with the ghost of my past. And honestly, that realization came about one day when my wife said to me, Mel, why don't you just admit that you're retired? And that was the nudge I needed to stop fighting the old battles and stop dragging the old Mel into a life that no longer fit for him. And when I saw what I'd been denying, meaning started showing up in places that I never noticed before. I finally realized that I didn't have to keep scaling the highest mountains. And I became content right here at base camp. I made a video recently about the philosophy of choosing base camp over scaling all the peaks around you. I'll link it above. What about you? I think a lot of new retirees would feel so much better if they were able to let go of the old version of themselves and welcome a whole new version. It's freeing, it's grounding, and for me, it's giving me a whole new lease on life. And retirement has become pretty darn awesome. I'm Mel. Thanks for watching. Talk to me in the comments. I'll be there with you. Thank you.